Also notice I don't use the altar for those of you that haven't had me before. Because I can't stand still. I'd start walking back and forth on there, and next thing I know, I'd be laying on the floor. So I work from down here. Besides that, then I can pick on all of you better. And I'm an equal opportunity picker, aren't I? Everybody gets it. My goal is to keep you involved in the class. This needs to be a two-way street if you're going to learn anything and if you're going to smile occasionally. All right? Who am I? I'm Chris Wilson. I'm also the only guy around here that wears cowboy hat continually. That's because my head gets cold. Because my hair's all falling out. Because I have teenage daughters. And you know, when you have teenage daughters, you're old and stupid. Dad, we don't do that anymore. That's what they did in the olden days, Dad. But at least I'm not as old as their grandfather who was around and played with dinosaurs. I retired from corporate America. I retired from a small telecommunications company you may or may not have heard of, and you may or may not have lost money with, Lucent Technologies. And if you lost money, I pity you, but so did I, so don't come and ask me for any pity because you're not going to get it. About a year ago, we were making a lot of money doing real estate investing, and I went in and convinced them I was tired of being on special projects. I wanted to leave. Much to my wife and my father's discomfort. We've never looked back since. We've made more money in the month of February and in the month of November than I ever did working for Lucent each month respectively. And I paid less in taxes, which is even better. I'm educated, sure. You know what that means? It means I was taught to be a good employee. Except I'm not an employee anymore. So it means absolutely nothing for what I'm doing right now. You know why we wanted to put that up there? Remember that ACE accreditation board? Those guys are PhDs. You know what that means? They had way too much money and absolutely no desire to do anything useful with their life. They taught us when we were on MBAs. They used to tell me how the real world worked. I used to have a problem with them telling me how the real world worked when they went to school for 15 years and now they were teachers. So that's there for them. Do you need an education to do what I'm doing? The only education you need is what you're getting right now. And the only reason you need this education is so you don't spend as much money as I did screwing up. You see, early on I learned I didn't have enough money to pay for all the mistakes I could figure out how to make when I was learning by hard knocks. And I can figure out how to make a lot of mistakes by myself, but every now and then somebody like David would come along and try to help me. And boy, we could figure out a whole bunch of new mistakes to make. And they're not cheap. One of our first deals, we lost $20,000. How many of you can afford to lose $20,000? Neither could I. My options were to accept the fact I lost $20,000 and just go on with life and make more money, or spend another $20,000 and fight it in court and get a lien judgment against somebody who just lost his house and his car. Well, gee, that was a smart thing to do, but I was never known to be too terribly smart. You can all do this, but I can't make you. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about how to do a fix and flip. The only thing I'm not going to cover is the actual fixing process, because there's a class for that, right? Rehabbing. I'll give you some helpful hints and some useful hints. There's a ton of them in your book that you can refer to later. The answers are there for what we use them for. But I am going to teach you how fix and flip starts and how fix and flip ends. When we are done, you should be able to go out that door, go find a house from a wholesaler, and start. And I challenge every class with this. If you don't go out that door and start, you've just wasted 8 hours of your time and 8 hours of my time. less than half of you will go out that door and start. So if you're in the half that's sitting there saying, I don't know if I know enough, you're the half that won't. I'm telling you, you know enough. You need to figure out how to convince yourself you can do this. Because you can. Every one of you can, or you wouldn't be here. Because you know what makes you able to do it? It's not that you live in the 1 square mile of Scottsdale where this system works. And it's kind of funny because I must live in the 1 square mile of the West Valley where it works. Because I live on the other side of Phoenix from Jim. It's the fact that you're willing to take a step to do it. You took the first step by coming here. Now you need to keep taking your steps. Learning is a process. One thing you'll notice, I do not stand up here and say, if you do what I do, you will be successful. Because if I did, I'd be lying to you. You're not me. I'm not you. I'm not you. We're all different. That's what makes us all unique. What you need to do is take the basic knowledge, go out and apply it, assess what works, and make it your own. That's how you are successful. There are so many speakers on real estate, and they all have a slightly different twist on real estate. You ever notice that? It's because they all took a concept and made it their own. That's all there is to it. I have a good friend who's a real estate broker for 27 years in Phoenix. When we were starting this, he said, this isn't rocket science, Chris, which is good because I'm not a rocket scientist. All you need to do is sit down and think logically about what you should do. And you can do it. The problem is logically. We don't always think logically, right? That's when we make mistakes. We think emotionally. Women, you're really bad at that. Okay? I teach so you don't make the same mistakes I made. That's the only reason I'm here. They don't pay me enough to be here for any other reason. I can make more money this week sitting at home than I can make standing here all week. But I can't meet as many nice folks as all of you. And one grump. I can't tell you who the grump is. They may not be in this class, but I'm sure there's one here. Usually it's me, but that's another story. Those of you that had class with me before, you know this is my lawyer slide. It says, we developed this workbook on our own. All the contracts in it are our own. They are intended for educational purposes only. As I keep telling everybody, that's because they're intended for the laws of the state in which the contract was written, in this case Arizona or Texas. If you use a contract written for Arizona or Texas and Utah, it's not very good. Like, not at all. So you need to use contracts for your own state. These are samples. I encourage you to go see your lawyer and get your own done. You don't want to pay for a lawyer? Modify the contract, send it through title, and ask them to have their attorney look at it. If you do a lot of work with the title company or the escrow company, their attorney will look at it for free. It is a cheap way of having a lawyer look at it. Questions? Comments? Want to leave? Think you made a mistake already? Mark, you want to pass out the assessments, please? Time to take that first test. When you take the test, please put your name, the date, the course number, or the course name, and your ID number on the card. Please use a pencil to fill out the cards. I'll give you my other speeches I'm supposed to give you. You too, no cheating this time. When she asks you a question, you can't answer. And quit copying off her test. I am not going to stand up here and tell you nice stories about what should happen. I'm going to tell you what does happen. And then you can decide what you want to do. Does a fix and flip take time? Isn't that why you're doing it? Time for money? How much time does a fix and flip take? I had to find my black marker. Here's what we're starting with. This is day 1. You buy the house. This is day 14. This is day 59. This is day 90. If this is day 1 and I buy the house, what must this be? Work done. Work done.